Okay, back to Emerson's Nature. We're on 3, Beauty. And this is a longer section. Very important though, beauty and nature. A nobler want of man is served by nature, namely, the love of beauty. The ancient Greeks called the word beauty. I can't really read Greek letters. Such is the constitution of all things, for such the plastic power of the human eye, that the primary forms, as the sky, the mountain, the tree, the animal, give us delight in and for themselves, a pleasure arising from outline, color, motion, and grouping. This seems partly owing to the eye itself. The eye is the best of artists. By the mutual action of its structure and of the laws of light, perspective is produced, which integrates every mass of objects, of what character soever, into a well-colored and shaded globe, so that, where the particular objects are mean and unaffecting, the landscape which they compose is round and symmetrical, and as the eye is the best composer, so light is the first of painters. There is no object so foul that intense light will not make beautiful, and the stimulus it affords to the sense, and a sort of infinitude which it hath, like space and time, make all matter gay. Even the corpse has its own beauty. But besides this general grace diffused over nature, almost all the individual forms are agreeable to the eye, as is proved by our endless imitations of some of them, as the acorn, the grape, the pine cone, the wheat ear, the egg, the wings and forms of most birds, the lion's claw, the serpent, the butterfly, seashells, flames, clouds, buds, leaves, and the forms of many trees as the palm. For better consideration, we may distribute the aspects of beauty in a threefold manner. First, the simple perception of nature forms is a delight. The influence of the forms and actions of nature is so needful to man that in its lowest functions it seems to lie on the confines of commodity and beauty. To the body and mind which have been cramped by noxious work or company, nature is medicinal and restores their tone. The tradesman, the attorney, comes out of the din and craft of the street and sees the sky and the woods, and is a man again. In their eternal calm he finds himself. The health of the eye seems to demand horizon, which are never tired, so long as we can see far enough. Nice. Sorry, kidding you on. But in other hours, nature satisfies by its loveliness and without any mixture of corporeal benefit. I see the spectacle of morning from the hilltop over against my house, from daybreak to sunrise, with emotions which an angel might share. The long slender bars of clouds float like fishes in the sea of crimson light. From the earth, as a shore, I look out into the silent sea. I seem to partake its rapid transformations. The active enchantment reaches my dust, and I dilate and conspire with the morning wind. How does nature deify us? With a few cheap elements. Give me health and a day, and I will make the pomp of emperors ridiculous. The dawn is my Assyria, the sunset and moonrise my Paphos, the unimaginable realms of fairy. Broad noon shall be my England of the senses and the understanding, and the night shall be my Germany of mystic philosophy and dreams. Not less excellent, except for our less susceptibility in the afternoon, was a charm last evening of a January sunset. The western clouds divided and subdivided themselves into pink flakes, modulated with tints of unspeakable softness, and the air had so much life and sweetness that it was a pain to come within doors. What was it that nature would say? Was there no meaning in the live repose of the valley behind the mill, and which Homer or Shakespeare could not reform for me in words? The leafless trees become spires of flame in the sunset, with the blue east for their background, and the stars of the dead calyces of flower, and every withered stubble, rimmed with frost contributing something to the mute music. The inhabitants of cities suppose that the country landscape is pleasant only half the year. I please myself with the graces of the winter scenery, and believe that we are as much touched by it as by the genial influences of summer. To the attentive eye, each moment of the year has its own beauty, and the same field it beholds every hour, a picture which was never seen before and shall never be seen again. The heavens change every moment and reflect their glory or gloom on the plains beneath. The state of the crop in the surrounding farms alters the expression of the earth from week to week. The succession of native plants in the pastures and roadsides, which make the silent clock by which time tells the summer hours, will make even the divisions of the day sensible to the keen observer. The tribes of birds and insects, like the plants punctual to their time, follow each other, and the year has room for all. By watercourses, the variety is greater. In July, the blue pontidaria or the pickerel weed blooms in large beds in shallow parts of our pleasant river, and swarms with yellow butterflies in continual motion. Art cannot rival this pomp of purple and gold. Indeed, the river is a perpetual gala, and boasts each month a new ornament. But this beauty of nature, which is seen and felt as beauty, is the least part. The shows of day, the dewy morning, the rainbow, mountains, orchards in blossom, stars, moonlight, shadows in still water, and the like, if too eagerly hunted, become shows merely, and mock us with their unreality. Go out to the house and see the moon, and 'tis mere tinsel. It will not please as when its light shines upon your necessary journey. The beauty that shimmers in the yellow afternoons in October, who could clutch it? Go forth and find it, and it is gone. 'Tis only a mirage as you look from the windows of diligence. So definitely something of work required to understand the beauty for Emerson. Continuing on, part 2 of this section on beauty. The presence of a higher, namely of the spiritual element, is essential to its perfection. The high and divine beauty, which can be loved without effeminacy, is that which is found in combination with the human will. Beauty is a mark of God, the mark God sets upon virtue. Every natural action is graceful. Every heroic act is also decent, and causes the place and the bystanders to shine. We are taught by great actions that the universe is a property of every individual in it. Every rational creature has all nature for his dowry and estate. It is his, if he wills it. He may divest himself of it. He may creep into a corner and abdicate his kingdom, as most men do, but he is entitled to the world by his constitution, in proportion to the energy of his thought and will. He takes up the world into himself. All those things for which men plow, build, or sail obey virtue, said Sallust. The winds and waves, said Gibbon, are always on the side of the ablest navigators. So are the sun and moon and all the stars of heaven. When a noble act is done, perchance, in the scene of the great natural beauty, when Leonidas and his 300 martyrs consume one day in dying, and the sun and moon come each and look at them once in a steep defile of Thermopylae, when Arnold Winkelried in the high Alps, under the shadow of the avalanche, gathers in his side the sheaf of Austrian spears to break the line for his comrades. Are not these heroes entitled to add beauty of the scene to the beauty of the deed? When the bark of Columbus nears the shore of America, before in the beach lines, beach lined with savages, fleeing out of all their huts of cane, the sea behind, the purple mountains of the Indian archipelago around. Can we separate the man from the living picture? Does not the New World clothe his form with her palm groves and savannas as fit drapery? Ever does natural beauty steal in like air and envelop great actions. When Sir Henry Vane was dragged up the Tower Hill, sitting on a sled to suffer death as a champion of the English laws, one of the multitude cried out to him, "You never sat on so glorious a seat." Charles II, to intimidate the citizens of London, caused the patriot Lord Russell to be drawn in on open coach through the principal streets of the city on his way to the scaffold. But his biographer says the multitude imagined they saw liberty and virtue sitting by his side. In private places, among sordid objects, the act of truth or heroism seems at once to draw itself to the sky as its temple, the sun as its candle. Nature stretches out her arms to embrace man. Only let his thoughts be of equal greatness. Willingly does she follow his steps with the rose and the violet, and bend her lines of grandeur and grace to the decoration of her darling child. Only let his thoughts be of equal hope, and the frame well suit the picture. A virtuous man is in unison with her works. And makes the central figure of his visible sphere. Homer, Pindar, Socrates, Phocion associate themselves fitly in our memory with the geography and climate of Greece. The visible heavens and the earth sympathize with Jesus. And in common life, whosoever has seen a person of powerful character and happy genius, will have remarked how easily he looked on all things along with him. The persons, the opinions, and the day and nature become ancillary to a man. So that section on heroes and nature as a goddess, it seems. Very artistic writing. Okay, third. There is still another aspect under which beauty of the world may be viewed, namely, as it becomes an object of the intellect. Beside the relation of things to virtue, they have a relation to thought. The intellect searches out the absolute order of things as they stand in the mind of God. And without the colors of affection, the intellectual and the active power seem to succeed each other, and the exclusive activity of the one generates the exclusive activity of the other. There is something unfriendly in each to the other, but they are like the alternate periods of feeding and working in animals. Each prepares and will be followed by the other. Therefore does beauty, which in relation to actions, as we have seen, comes unsought, and comes because it is unsought, remain for the apprehension and the pursuit of intellect. And then again, in its turn of the active power, nothing divine dies. All good is internally reproductive. The beauty of nature reforms itself in the mind, and not for barren contemplation for the new creation. All men are in some degree impressed by the face of the world, some men even to delight. This love of beauty is taste. Good definition. Love of beauty, taste. Others have the same love in such excess that, not content with admiring, they seek to embody it in new forms. The creation of beauty is art. Strong distinction, defined my field, music education, for a long time. This taste versus art. And we still have classes in schools separating general music class from performing music classes. For good or ill. Here it is right there, right? The production of a work of art throws a light upon the mystery of humanity. The work of art is an abstract or epitome of the world. It is the result or expression of nature in miniature. For although the works of nature are innumerable and all different, the result of the expression of them is all similar and singular. Nature is a sea of forms, radically alike, and even unique. A leaf, a sunbeam, a landscape, the ocean, make an analogous impression on the mind. What is common to them all? That perfectness and harmony is beauty. The standard of beauty is the entire circuit of the natural forms, the totality of nature, which the Italians expressed by defining beauty il più nel uno, the many in the one. Nothing is quite beautiful alone, but nothing but is beautiful in the whole. A single object is only so far beautiful as it suggests this universal grace. The poet, the painter, the sculptor, the musician, the architect seek each to concentrate this radiance of the world on one point, and each of his several work to satisfy the love of beauty, each stimulates him to produce. Thus in art, a nature passed through the alembic of man. Thus in art does nature work through the will of man, filled with the beauty of her first works. The world thus exists to the soul to satisfy the desire of beauty, the element I call the ultimate end. No reason can be asked or given why the soul seeks beauty. Beauty, in its largest and profoundest sense, is one expression for the universe. God is the all-fair. Truth and goodness and beauty are but different faces of the same all. But beauty in nature is not ultimate. It is the herald of inward eternal beauty, and is not alone a solid and satisfactory good. It must stand as a part, and not as yet the last or the highest expression of the final cause of nature. I had to put a note here because there's some stuff I need to return to in my writing, whether to critique or use, or some combination of both, as I always do in my writings. Have a great day.